Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly, the show where I give you guys the top 5 prog news headlines for the week, introduce you guys to some new prog singles, and give you updates on what's happening on the channel here on Nathan on Shuffle. It's March 28th, 2025, and this is a catch-up show a little bit. I didn't do a show last week because there wasn't a lot of news items that I was coming across, and I just didn't really have the time to put a show together. So I'm putting it all out there today, March 28th, hoping you guys are excited about some of the stuff that's been happening in the prog world and music world at large. And so let's get into some really great items. Some new releases over the past couple weeks. Sycophant's Red Sun EP came out on March 20th. Fabulous newer prog band coming out of Norway. Sound a lot like, they have Pink Floyd influences and, of course, a lot of classic rock and classic prog influence as well. It's a great EP that showcases what they're planning for this year. Sometime in February, from Inside Out, they released an album called Where Mountains Hide on March 21st. This is more of an instrumental prog metal album. Some interesting playing on there, a lot of cool diversions into different areas. If you like things like Scale the Summit, I think this could be up your alley. Big Big Train did a reissue of their album Bard, one of their early albums from the early 2000s. A lot of people are really happy with this release. It sounds like it has renewed energy, and it comes with a bonus. There's also an EP release that came along with it with some bonus material, the Scop EP. ORK is another band featuring Colin Edwin of Porcupine Tree fame. More of a grungy, kind of heavier, hard-rocking prog. Their album's called Fire Hose of Falsehoods that came out on the 21st. Deaf Heaven came out with their album Lonely People with Power, if you're into the heavier side of the prog metal spectrum. That came out this weekend, as well as IQ's Dominion. That's the big release for me as a prog fan. The Kings of Neo-Prog is how I feel about them. And I did a review of their album, so check that out if you want a little bit of an in-depth look. Envy of None released their album Stygian Waves. This is a band featuring Alex Lifeson of Rush fame on the guitar, but it's a little bit more of kind of a modern-sounding alternative rock with only little bits of prog in there, but some great guitar playing, some great fabulous female vocals, so definitely one to watch. And No Spoon released their EP Ozai, which is basically a redone version of their old school material before they did their Opus album. So great progressive metal if you're into that. A little bit of a rougher, rawer sound for them compared to the polished sound they had on Opus, but it's really great stuff and a great look into their early history. Now into the news items. First of all, Steven Wilson battles it out with Playboi Carti for UK chart supremacy. It's really cool to me to see prog have its place in the album charts. It's kind of a rare thing to see in today's day and age. And Steven Wilson on the midweek chart for UK was actually in the lead. And so it was kind of a battle between Steven Wilson and Playboi Carti for their new albums and what would kind of ultimately take the number one spot. Playboi Carti, I believe, ended up winning the battle for the week ultimately, but still really cool that Steven Wilson's The Overview, which is a very proggy album, 2 big, lengthy, epic length tracks, which you wouldn't think would be very popular in today's musical landscape, was the number 3 album for the week, I believe, when all was said and done. Number 2 was Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter, a pop record. So I think that's pretty good for a cool progressive rock album. Steven Wilson is probably one of the leaders of, at least one of the more visible, well-known progressive rock artists. And I just think it's really cool and wanted to feature that as a main item because it's regardless of your feelings about Steven Wilson, I know from the comment section that he's not everybody's cup of tea, but he's bringing a lot of visibility to our genre. And for me, that means a lot. And I actually adore the album. I think it's fantastic. And Steven Wilson is going on tour to promote his album. I'm hoping the success of this album means that he wants to do more progressive style material and not go back into more of his kind of poppier tendencies on the last few records, which I actually still love, and I'd be happy with any direction he's taking. But, you know, as the Prog fan, I'm always happy when he's doing proggier material. So should be interesting to see how this, you know, chart position kind of moves him forward and inspires him for his next musical endeavor. Number 2, Gentle Giant share a brand new live video for Freehand. This is from their upcoming remastered, remixed version of their 1977 classic live album, Playing the Fool. One of my personal favorites. Just incredible to see how they pull off all this complex, crazy material live, and they do so with such energy and such just virtuosity. It's really remarkable. So it's great that this live album is getting this remastered remakes treatment. And this is coming out through Chrysalis Records on May 2nd. We get a great taste of what to expect with the track Freehand, which is one of my favorites from the band. A cool video that kind of gives homage to their stage setup. It's really just showcasing kind of an empty stage and the Gentle Giant logo in the background. It's kind of a cool little video to watch along with the Freehand track, which is just fantastically done, full of energy, great makes. I just think it's really fantastic. So I'm really excited for this release. The album was mixed and mastered from the original source tapes by producer Dan Bornemark, who's worked with the band on their recent archival projects, so someone who's very familiar with the catalog, and it should be in good hands, and I'm really excited. I've pre-ordered my copy. There's multiple formats, and it's always difficult for me to decide which format to pick it up in. There's a double CD, a triple vinyl, and a Blu-ray. I went with the Blu-ray route. It's like a 2 CD Blu-ray package, I believe, because I feel like the Blu-ray is going to give you the best immersive sound experience. I believe it has a Dolby Atmos mix and 5.1 surround and all of that stuff. And then you get the CD along with it to play the stereo version. So that to me works well. But I might down the road pick up the vinyl as well just because I'm obsessive. But one of my favorite all-time prog bands is obvious based on how much I feature them on the channel, and a must listen. The single of Freehand will be in the Prog singles list, which I've linked a playlist that I've put up on YouTube that contains all of these singles that I talk about on this episode. Cosmic Cathedral share a new single called Time to Fly. If you're not familiar, Cosmic Cathedral is somewhat of a supergroup of sorts featuring Neil Morse, Chester Thompson, Phil Keggy, and Byron House. They're going to be coming out with their new album Deep Water on April 25th on Inside Out Music. This is just a cool track stemming from a jam session from the group. Most of the tracks on the album, it seems, came from just the band jamming together and having fun playing. And it's just a really groovy, cool, interesting track to listen to. I would highly recommend it. Some great saxophone on there to give it kind of a jazzier feel. And the whole album, I've been privileged to hear the full album, and it's just really, really nicely done. Just classic Neil Morse with a little bit of a different configuration here. Of course, I'm a massive Neil Morse fan, so really excited for what the band has in the near future. They're going to also be playing at Morse Fest in October 25, so that's going to be really cool to witness. So yeah, check out the single, pre-order the album. It's available for pre-order as well in limited CD digipack, gatefold 2LP, and digital. Should be a great release, and I'll be talking about it extensively on the channel. Another release I'm going to be talking about on the channel very soon, the progressive rock group Solstice share their video for Life from their upcoming album Clann. This is a UK prog group. They were voted recently in a Prog magazine poll as like the best most popular prog band, or however whatever they do on those polls in Prog magazine. So they have a lot of hype and excitement around them right now, and their new album Clann comes out next Friday, April 4th, through progrock.com Essentials label. Fantastic album. I'm going to be talking about it, doing a review of it this week. I just absolutely adore it. Just very uplifting, kind of positive, Yes style vibes, but with great female vocals. Fantastic. And this track is a great track from it, so please check it out. The group's on the rise. Their last few albums have just been really amazing. Andy Glass is kind of the main person on board who's been with the band since like the early 80s. So this is a great short cool album that I want to promote and talk about. But yeah, check out the single. It'll be in that playlist that I'm linking in the comments, or in the description rather. So a wonderful UK prog band that deserves all of the attention and praise. And then I saw a couple of reissues coming from Inside Out that interested me. Norwegian rock outfit Leprous are doing a re-released version of The Congregation, their fourth studio album, available as a gatefold Deep Blood Red 2LP, 180 gram vinyl. This is like their 10th anniversary edition, so it should be a cool release from Leprous, who have a prog metal side, and are just a fantastic group. Their recent album, Melodies of Atonement, was really fantastic, and they're touring extensively in North America. Unfortunately, they backed out of Cruise to the Edge, which I'm going to be attending. So that was unfortunate, but they're still doing a lot of touring otherwise. So there's a good chance you can catch them somewhere along the line and not too far. So that repressed edition of The Congregation is coming out May 23rd via Inside Out Music. And there's also going to be a release of Spock's Octane. This is the 20th anniversary, I suppose, of Octane. The release is coming out 16th of May, 2025. It's been newly remastered specifically for vinyl, presented across 4 sides of 80 gram vinyl. The main remastered album is contained on sides 1 through 3, and side 4 contains the 5 bonus tracks that were originally released in a limited CD version. So this was the band's 8th studio album, the second with Nick DiVirgilio at the head once Neil Morse left the group. I have a soft spot for this album. I think it's way better than people give it credit for. I think it's a really awesome entry in their catalog, them kind of branching out on their own, leaving the classic Neil Morse sound a little bit behind for a more rock feel, and I think it worked really well for the band. So there's some really cool stuff going on. Gentle Giant's track is on my prog singles list. Freehand, the live version. Solstice's Life is there. Cosmic Cathedral's Time to Fly. I'm also adding in a track from Black Country New Road called For the Cold Country. Maybe not traditional prog like I tend to always talk about, but I'm really enamored with Black Country New Road and all the singles they've released. They're one of my new favorite bands, honestly. Even though they kind of fit more into this kind of post-punk, indie rock sort of aesthetic rather than traditional prog, but I love what they're doing. They lost their main lead singer previous to this album, who was a big part of the band, but they're really bringing the pieces left over together to create something new and fresh with a lot of great female vocals and just a really great vibe. Some really cool multi-instrumentalists in the band playing unique elements and making for a really fantastic listen. So that album, their new album's called Forever How Long, coming out April 4th, and I will certainly be talking about it on the channel. Eden Song is the other single I have. It's called Hall of Statues from their upcoming album Our Road to Dust, which is coming out May 9th on Laser's Edge label. So that's available for pre-order. A great track. They're kind of an unsung band that I really love, who have crafted some great material. They sit in kind of this cool proggier, modern edged, a little bit of folk tinge to their sound. Just really a great stew of musical influences, and I really like this track in particular. So that's what I have for you guys for the prog singles list, keeping it to the 5 entries there. I think that's a good place to keep it. Like I mentioned on the channel this week, I did 2 videos basically. One is spotlighting IQ's Dominion, a fantastic new prog album that just came out today. I really highly recommend it. I think it's a fabulous entry into their already fabulous canon. I also did a kind of duo review of 2 new EPs that have come out. One is Sycophant's Red Sun and the other No Spoon's Ozai. 2 super promising young prog bands that I wanted to feature, and both EPs are worth your time and attention. I'm going to be reviewing Solstice's Clann, as I mentioned, this upcoming week, and I'm also planning to do a big show of my favorite albums of the first quarter of this year. I think it's going to be a list of 25 albums that I've really loved, some really quick recommendations for you guys, talking about some of the albums that maybe you've wondered why I haven't mentioned yet on the channel in favor of some of the other releases that I've reviewed. So a chance to kind of collect everything all together and give you a quick burst of some of the greatest music that's coming out recently. So be all primed and ready to comment on that one and give me your favorite albums of the quarter. So that should be a great video to put out there, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. The channel might be a bit slow otherwise for the next couple weeks. I'm going on Cruise to the Edge, as I mentioned, so that will take me away from the studio for a week and a half or so. And I apologize, me and Jana haven't really had time to record together, so there's been a real lack of videos with Jana lately. But once we get back from the cruise, we're planning to record quite a bit of things, including a cruise review, maybe footage that we filmed from the cruise itself, as well as some new music shuffles and all the things that we normally do, some discussion episodes. We're going to get back into it, so don't be afraid that that's going away. It's still an element of the channel that's really important to me. So there you have it. That's what's to expect. There's a lot of great new albums coming out that I'm excited to get into and talk about. Hopefully you guys are excited as well. And that's what I have. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Hopefully you appreciated this episode. Let me know in the comments of any items that I may have missed in my rundown of some of the recent prog news. So thank you guys, and enjoy the music out there. Bye everybody.